Kung Fu has been practiced in China since 200 BC. Not only a form of combat or a form of devotion, Kung Fu is to many a way of life. Some 1500 years ago, the leading Chinese Kung Fu school, Shaolin, was established and has been a major influence on the development of Kung Fu ever since. This is Songshan in Henan province. Renowned for its natural beauty, it was here centuries ago that Shaolin Kung Fu first began. It is 4 o'clock on a cold, dark morning. And for this group of 10-year-olds, it's about to get a whole lot worse, the same as it does every morning. This mountain is around 1,000 meters high. It takes an adult an hour and a half to climb to the top. These boys are required to climb it in 20 minutes. As soon as they have reached the peak, they are required to crawl down again on their hands and knees. These children are Shaolin secular disciples. Shaolin followers are divided into secular disciples and martial monks. To become a martial monk demands the finest in both Kung Fu skills and Buddhist devotion, and is a title that can only be conferred by their masters.
以后加入武僧队以后，才可以代表少林寺可以到国外了表演了，发扬少林武术，这样也算是为少林寺争入一点光荣嘛。
我当了武僧以后，就能出国表演，为国争光。
The extreme hardship and difficulty involved in gaining the title removes all but the very elite. The hardships and harshness do not abate with time. Rather, they increase in magnitude as the monk progresses. Back from their crawl down the hill, the students practice basic Kung Fu drill for 2 hours a day. The basic skills include stretching and strength exercises designed to equip the body for the techniques that lie ahead. After the basic exercises come the unarmed combat techniques, as well as those using weapons. A round lasts for only 40 seconds, but must be repeated for anything up to 4 hours. This ensures that every attack technique becomes second nature and instinctive, perfectly sharp and perfectly delivered with maximum strength, every time. By the time they are finished, the students should be able to deliver each technique blindfolded. The kitchen of Shaolin Temple prepares vegetarian food for over 100 people every day. Dishes like bean sprouts, steamed buns, and rice. Despite their intensive exercise program, Shaolin martial monks are vegetarians, the simplicity of their food reflecting the simplicity of their lifestyle. Disciples, like martial monks, are also required to be vegetarian. The extent of their exercise regime means that these children often eat much more than their adult counterparts. At present, Shaolin Kung Fu is taught mainly by two great masters. One is Master Shi Henjun, the head of the Secular Disciples Training School. And the other is Master Shi De-yang, the coach of the Martial Monks Reserve Team. Each new disciple is carefully screened to see whether they have the requisite talent and ability.
要看他的体格，他人这个体格大小、粗壮、高低不一，所以看他这个体格、体型都要看的。
但出家弟子从本身的身体条件都要求的比较高。 队员呢得符合练武功的这些身体条件，身高、臂长啊，这都得去考。
Only those who are exceptionally strong, with good physique and pure Buddhist devotion, can be recruited as Shaolin martial monks. The requirements for these secular disciples are less stringent. All that is needed to learn Kung Fu at a Shaolin temple is a normal build and good flexibility. The most important thing is that the apprentices start practicing as young as possible. Although there is no age limit for learning Shaolin Kung Fu, young children are not only able to learn faster, but they are also more lithe. Flexibility is paramount. The more flexible you are, the more pain you can withstand. The more pain you can withstand, the faster your progress. Shi Maojun is 9 years old. He's been learning Kung Fu for only 3 years. He's one of the best fighters in his group. A brilliant and agile student, he has learned the essence of Shaohong, the renowned Shaolin combat technique, in a very short time. His every attack is powerful, every step firm and strong. Apart from being smart, he also has the right build to learn Tong Ji Gong, or juvenile Qigong, a mystical Shaolin Kung Fu that requires both spiritual and physical training. Tong Ji Gong has given him a clear edge over his peers and marks him out as particularly gifted. It's impossible to trace the origins of Tong Ji Gong. The myths surrounding Kung Fu are many. But it is often held that an Indian Buddhist called Dharma, a devout and zealous monk who came to Shaolin to preach Buddhism 1400 years ago, found that his fellow monks lacked the physical strength to bear the long hours of Zen meditation. He set about creating Tong Ji Gong based on Indian yoga to promote the monks' physical strength. Another legend says that 700 years ago, a Shaolin Buddhist chief invited the country's best fighters to Shaolin to exchange their ideas about martial arts. Here, they created Tong Ji Gong, which incorporates the advantages of every style of Shaolin Kung Fu. Shaolin Kung Fu demands both spiritual and mental as well as physical training. Tongji Gong best shows this concept. Tongji Gong is divided into basic and advanced levels. Basic Tongji Gong focuses on mobility, especially various forms of rolling and leaping. It requires great flexibility of tendons and joints, which is why 5 to 6-year-old boys are at the best age to practice this skill. These 2 9-year-old boys, who have practiced basic Tongji Gong for 4 years, have made the most fragile parts of their bodies become deadly weapons. Those who have mastered basic Tongji Gong may move on to advanced Tongji Gong when they are older. This 18-year-old student has practiced advanced Tongji Gong for 6 years and demonstrates the extremes of flexibility capable by the human body. Learning advanced Tongji Gong is similar to learning Qigong. Actions are soft but powerful, stretching human joints to the limits of endurance. A master of advanced Tongji Gong can bend his limbs to seemingly impossible angles. A normal person can bend his foot back no more than 90 degrees, keeping his knee straight. A Tongji Gong master can bend his foot back through 180 degrees. So how does this extraordinary flexibility help with Kung Fu? According to Master Shi Henjun, to become a Shaolin Kung Fu master, Tongji Gong is vital. It makes the joints extremely pliable, which in turn enables perfect posture and enormous power. What's more, it ensures that those qualities can last a lifetime.
不练童子功，从半路上18、19岁开始练这个功法，然后你到了一定的年龄，比方说到50岁、60岁，你本身的武功慢慢的就退化了。练童子功，它退化不下去。
But why should a Buddhist monk wish to practice Kung Fu in the first place? Legend says that during the Wei and Qin dynasties, 1,500 years ago, Emperor Zhao Wen, who was a fervent believer in Buddhism, built a residential monastery for Master Bao Tuo, who came from India. Since the monastery was situated in the woods at the foot of Shaoxi Mountain, it was named Shaolin, as Lin in Chinese means woods. But the monastery was in a remote mountain area, and its inhabitants were prone to attack by wild animals and bandits. As a result, the monks began to practice Kung Fu for self-defense, and the farming tools they used in day-to-day life became their weapons. There was little training equipment in the mountains, and so techniques were developed that utilized what basic items they had. From the humblest of beginnings emerged a simple but arduous long-term training regime that influences the practice of Kung Fu even today. Throughout its more than 2,000 years development and history, Kung Fu has no shortcut to becoming a master. Only endless practice, extreme effort, and total devotion can fully harness the power of Kung Fu. Literally, in ancient Chinese, the term Kung Fu means one with an erring devotion. The reward of becoming a master is reserved only for the elite of the elite. The first thing to learn in Kung Fu, and the most important fundamental stance, is Jia Ma, the back stance. As a basis for strong attacks and to avoid falling at the opponent's attack, the first requirement is to be able to stand firm. A Kung Fu practitioner must continue Jia Ma exercises throughout his life, at least 2 hours every day. Slapping water develops mental toughness. And by choosing freezing cold days to slap the water, the student learns to resist the cold. Willpower is more important than physical condition, reflecting the central aim of Kung Fu, to train both one's mental and physical power. Liaozhang is a way to strengthen delicate human fingers. The many nerves in the fingers make them extremely sensitive to pain and therefore weak. What seems like a gentle pursuit of pushing one's hands into dried beans after only a short time becomes almost unbearably painful. For the Kung Fu devotee, it is a pain that must be borne regularly and for up to an hour at a time until the fingers are strengthened and the pain is controlled. Hitting a candle flame from a distance is an exercise that promotes the explosive power of a punch. The rush of air driven by the fist blows the candle out, but only if every ounce of strength is placed into the strike. When the candle is out, it is relit and the exercise repeated. Repetitive training is the fundamental methodology behind Kung Fu. Repeat, repeat, and repeat again until your action is second nature.
要通过自己的刻苦努力锻炼呢，因为少林拳是学无止境的。少林拳就像是佛教里边的大藏经，任何一个人一生的经历，他是学不完的。
More than 300 styles of Shaolin Kung Fu are practiced today. They can be divided into weapons use, combat techniques, and Qigong. The sword is regarded as the king of all weapons. The Dao or scimitar was invented after the sword. The most famous method being the Shaolin traditional Dao technique. In ancient times, scimitars were designed for close fighting, where each combatant was in great danger. An old Chinese fight saying goes, the shorter the scimitar, the greater the danger. Guandao is classified as a scimitar-style Kung Fu. However, it is very different from using a scimitar. The Guandao itself is a long, heavy weapon requiring great strength to wield effectively. Good Guandao fighters need to be powerful. But the use of long weapons also requires the swiftness that is typical of a Shaolin Kung Fu. Since using the tip of the spear is the only way to win, it is necessary to maintain distance from the opponent. Unlike with scimitars, the longer your spear, the more powerful you are. But Shaolin's most famous weapon is the stick. With no blade, the emphasis is on speed and accuracy. 500 years ago, Shaolin martial monks used sticks to fight the Japanese pirates along the southeastern coast of China. Their efficiency at seeing off the intruders proved the simplest of weapons can be the deadliest in the right hands. But no matter how careful you are using a weapon, there is still a chance of killing your opponent unintentionally. With this in mind, the most fully developed Shaolin Kung Fu techniques are hand and leg styles. Shaohong combat technique is one of the most renowned, and all novice Kung Fu devotees must learn it. This technique incorporates features of all styles of Shaolin combat, and once mastered, forms a strong basis on which to build. Advanced Shaolin Kung Fu practitioners can learn a hat combat technique. This technique, also needing immense energy, features wide-angle movements. It takes careful coordination between steps and strike patterns requiring fast actions of the upper body, using fists and palms to fight. Using simple, even strikes, long combat technique involves moving as little as possible while waiting for and anticipating attacks. This highly advanced combat technique demands at least 10 years Kung Fu experience before it can be attempted. The most creative Shaolin Kung Fu may be the 18 Ahat methods, the first Shaolin combat techniques. Legend has it that over 1400 years ago, Master Dharma, in meditation with his disciples, studied the Wu Qi Shi, or five animals play, an ancient health-giving Qigong developed by a famous doctor. He was then inspired to create the 18 Ahat methods. The five animals play is a kind of Qigong that imitates the breathing and motions of five long-lived animals: the bear, crane, ape, tiger, and deer, aiming to provide longevity. Master Dharma formulated the 18 Ahat methods on a mountain ledge less than 10 feet wide, outside the cave where he meditated. One of the methods, the white crane airs its wings, imitates the flight of a white crane. The principles of this combat technique influenced later generations all over China to create techniques based on the characteristics of many other animals. Survival of the fittest, the principle of the wild, encouraged devotees to learn the skills each animal used to survive in its habitat. The Wu Xin Chuan, or five-style combat technique, imitates 5 animals: the dragon, snake, tiger, leopard, and crane. Gao Xin Chuan, or dog style, is inspired by the way a dog attacks the lower body. This technique is particularly suitable for smaller people. Then there is Yin Jiao Gong, the eagle's claw, which imitates the fierceness of an eagle, as well as its predatory skills. Wu Xin Chuan, or tiger style, features the agility and strength of the tiger, emphasizing speed and aggression. This is Hao Xin Chuan, or monkey style. It is inspired by the swiftness of the monkey. Whether a disciple is good or bad in mastering the skill depends on whether the postures or gestures of the monkey can be clearly seen. Tang Lang Chuan, or mantis style, demonstrates the aggressiveness and explosive grace of the mantis. This unique fusion of animal characteristics with martial arts shows the organic development of Kung Fu from its humble origins into the powerful defense weapon it has become, still with a foot firmly grounded in nature. However, the most profound wisdom and the most mysterious power of Kung Fu is called Qigong. Through breathing and a series of systematic movements, Qigong produces a type of energy called Qi. The Chinese believe that Qi, or energy, normally resides in a place they call Dantian in the lower abdomen. Once you can freely direct this energy to a particular part of the body, you can produce enormous power. Direct the Qi to your arm as you throw a needle, and it can pierce a piece of glass. Used correctly, Qi can make any part of the body as hard as steel. The crown of the head can break iron plates, bricks, sticks, and stones. Hands can smash bricks, and break sticks. Feet can splinter rocks. And a staff. Even the most delicate parts of the body can become immune to scimitar or spear attack. The stomach can resist a trident stab, or can break sticks. The throat can resist attack by spear.
不是说这些什么兵器都不能伤，因为枪之后啊，他们都是恩气功的一种，都属于恩气，就是把这个气布局，这个外层内练一口气，外练那个筋骨皮这个皮，他这个把这个气充聚以后，你的外界东西打不透的一般。
In the past, the mysterious Qigong was regarded as mystical or even as magic by some. But studies have found that the Qi movements within the body can be tracked by a heat detector. Of course, the only way to maximize the Qi energy is by repeating the exercises day after day. The human fists are fragile. Although often used in attacks, fists are prone to damage. If you wish to be more powerful, you must strengthen them. Place a piece of paper on a wall. Punch it for 2 hours without stopping. Replace the paper when it's broken. The wall may deteriorate, but eventually the hand becomes immune. The brain is the most important organ of the human body. Serious injury or damage to the brain can be fatal. To protect it, the skull must be strengthened. All you have to do is hit your skull with your palms for 2 hours every day to harden it. Then bang your head against a sandbag for 2 hours to train it to resist the shock of an attack. Hard Qigong masters believe that the skull becomes up to 4 times harder than that of a normal person after 2 years of such continuous practice. Another very delicate part of the body, the neck, is particularly vulnerable to attack. Injuries here can lead to paralysis and death. A headstand lowers the weight of the entire body onto the neck. Practice an hour every day for a year, and then you can progress to neck hanging. The iron neck exercise consists simply of hanging by the neck from a cloth noose. At first, it is only bearable for 2 to 3 seconds, but eventually the body can be supported for minutes at a time, by which time you'll have mastered the technique. The iron neck is very useful in actual combat. It enables you to free yourself and counterattack should your enemy have your neck in an arm lock. By now, it is clear that Shaolin Kung Fu emphasizes both actual combat and mental theory. This balance explains why it is the leading school of Chinese Kung Fu. However, in spite of its importance to China, Shaolin Kung Fu was once almost totally lost. Over its 1500-year history, the Shaolin Temple has suffered several calamities. The most serious was in 1928, when a military clique called Xi Yaoshan set the Shaolin Temple ablaze. It is believed that Chanjingge, the sutra library where all the Kung Fu textbooks were kept, perished in the fire. Although the books were gone, fortunately the living textbooks, the Shaolin masters survived.
说没有我们这些人，这个的这个继承，没有这些人的发展，没有今天的好形势。
In 1980, during a Sino-Japanese Shaolin martial arts interflow conference, the Chinese government realized that Shaolin Kung Fu was all but lost. It immediately began to search for people who could help to reconstruct the school of knowledge. One of these people was Master Liang Yichuan. 68-year-old Master Liang Yichuan is among the top Kung Fu masters in China. From his great-grandfather down, each generation has practiced Shaolin Kung Fu. Master Liang started when he was 5 years old. More than 60 years later, he is an all-round Shaolin Kung Fu master. Later, in order to promote Shaolin Kung Fu, the government funded Master Liang to open a new martial arts school. It was an immense success, and Shaolin Kung Fu's popularity spread swiftly. In 20 years, Chinese Kung Fu training schools have spread all over China and indeed the world. Beneath the Shaolin Temple at Songshan, there are now over 40 schools alone. Every year, Dangfang City in Henan Province, which is the home to the Shaolin Temple, holds a large-scale Shaolin martial arts contest to promote popular interest in learning Kung Fu. More than 5,000 Shaolin Kung Fu practitioners from more than 60 training schools across China gather to advance Shaolin Kung Fu. At the contests, they exchange techniques and experience, another basic tenet central to the practice of Kung Fu. This is the biggest Shaolin Kung Fu school in Dangfang City. It can accommodate 8,000 students at any one time. The students come from all over the world, and to accommodate them, the school has several large hostels. Just like other Shaolin secular disciples, the students have to get up early in the morning to undergo the strenuous training. After washing, the first thing is not breakfast, but exercise. This is the method used by martial arts training schools to teach students discipline. The morning exercises demand synchronized movements, just like military training. Whether practicing boxing or the use of weapons, all movements must be synchronized. Morning exercises are a compulsory part of the training. Only after half an hour of practice do the students get their breakfast. For the students, the benefits derived far outweigh the hardships endured.
将来把武术练好，文化课学好，应该会有一个出路吧。
Apart from the martial arts, these training schools also provide an all-round education. Students have to attend grammar lessons, which are divided into primary, secondary, and even tertiary levels. Moreover, the syllabus of the martial arts training schools is very varied. Apart from Shaolin Kung Fu, students learn the martial arts of other countries, including karate and taekwondo, creating a synergy between the various combat arts. To spread the Shaolin Kung Fu message, this training school has pioneered summer courses. lasting from 1 week to 2 months. They attract thousands of applicants every year from countries all over the world.
我的看法，功夫是很厉害，最厉害。我每天我看他们，还有他们的功夫的办法，很厉害，很有意思。每天我差不多5点钟起来，开始跑步，差不多5点钟到6点半，我们有点活动。 还有以后我们可以休息，差不多8点半到10点半，我们也上课。他们比方说，有的时候我练棍，有的时候练别的。
Westerners often learn about Kung Fu from television or movies. It can seem mysterious, unattainable even. But at these summer camps, they can actually try real Chinese Kung Fu for themselves.
Before to came here, I just saw Kung Fu on TV, see Shaolin monks on demonstration or on TV. I was attracted by Kung Fu, but I never had the possibility to practice in my country because I live in a small town and there is no club to practice Kung Fu. Maybe I will try to find a club to practice Kung Fu in France because I fall in love about Kung Fu. It's a very good, and I think it's the most famous martial arts that I can practice.
Today, Shaolin Kung Fu training schools are spread all over the world, as far afield as Cuba. 20-year-old Canadian Nick has learned Kung Fu for 6 years in Canada. Now he has come to the Shaolin Secular Disciples Training Center to learn more.
Here's where it all started, I think. Here's where all the martial arts began. So I wanted to learn like from the original source. I wanted to see where it all started and things like this. I hope to improve on my basic skills and hopefully learn some advanced techniques I can bring home, show my friends and family.
Nick's devotion to Kung Fu enables him to study advanced techniques. He is learning a very difficult technique, Ji Chuan, or Two Fingers Zen. To learn Two Fingers Zen, first you have to strengthen your fingers. Nick practices finger press-ups for an hour every day. Only when the fingers are strong enough can you start practicing Two Fingers Zen, part of which involves supporting the entire body weight on 2 fingers of each hand. Two Fingers Zen maximizes finger strength. Well-trained fingers can be used as deadly weapons. In order to harden the fingers, students are required to punch a sandbag at least 2,000 times a day. But Two Fingers Zen is not the highest level of finger work. An even more advanced technique is One Finger Zen. One Finger Zen involves standing upside down on one finger. Very few people have ever mastered this special technique. In recent times, only one monk, Master Hai Dang accomplished this. Since he died in 1989, no one else has been able to master this most extreme of all techniques. It requires not only immense training, but a thorough understanding of Zen Buddhism. The heart of Zen is a peaceful mind focused on the Buddha. Shaolin Kung Fu emphasizes the unification of Buddhist theory and Kung Fu. A martial monk may spend a great deal of time learning Kung Fu, and even more time developing the strength of his Qi. But most time of all is spent meditating and learning Zen Buddhism. The heart of Zen is a unique concept which often perplexes foreigners, appearing mystical and unobtainable. This religious foundation is what makes Shaolin Kung Fu so special. When myth and logic, mysticism and endurance meet Buddhism, the result is perfect power and perfect peace. The result is Shaolin Kung Fu.